Alrighty, y'all. Welcome back here to another live stream, my friends. Hope you guys are doing well. Good to have you guys back here for another update here. So I was actually having a bit of issues in the last live stream before we really started. So I wanted to hop on here yet again a little bit later to get you guys another update here. In terms of what's going on. So we now have a new tropical disturbance out here in the Gulf that we're going to need to look out for over the next couple of days. It does have the potential of development here. Earlier today, we've been getting a pretty good amount of convection out of it here. You know, we've actually been seeing quite a bit of storm activity out here by areas out there like Georgia, as well as South Carolina, a little bit of Florida and Alabama as well. And, you know, this system is going to be working its way over here to the southwest over the next few days. And something we're going to need to look into. What's up, Zach? Hope you're doing good. What's up, Ponderosa? Welcome, welcome. Of course, everybody, welcome here. Hope everyone's doing well. But yeah, so we're going to keep it out there for this system here. It is going to be driving a bunch of storms for a lot of the south here, you know, continuing into tomorrow. But as of right now, you know, the Hurricane Center, we now have a 10-10 chance of development. So as of now, it's pretty low in terms of formation probability here. But, you know, whenever it comes to it, though, there is potential in which we do have a 10% chance here of this thing becoming a depression or a storm here within the next 7 days at a 10% chance. And, of course, we do also have a 10% chance here as well for the next 48 hours. So, you know, we do have the potential. Once again, as of right now, it's pretty low. You know, once again, this is a new disturbance that the Hurricane Center has put out here. So, you know, don't be surprised if that probability does go up a little bit. You know, they do tend to start off a little low. But anyways, but yeah, so that's that. Now, one thing I do want to look at here with you guys, we're going to take a look over here at the ECENS ensembles here, which is just some model data. We're going to take a peek at that. So let's go ahead and hop on over here. So looking at the ECENS, we actually have a little bit more activity here from the model here in its ensembles, in which we take a look here at the loop. So we had the system that we were watching out there by the Lesser Antilles, the Windward Leeward Islands. It's not expected to do anything, but you can see that grouping of lows here from the ECENS that does track its way here off of Florida. And it does show the majority of those models having this thing kind of end up out there by possibly the Houston area, out there by like eastern Texas, maybe even like southwestern Louisiana here. The funny thing is that this storm system was actually already in some of these areas here previously. You know, this was the same system that impacted Louisiana, kind of did a loop-de-loop here, and now it's you know, trying to go back out here in the same direction. So, you know, it's kind of taking its round two, essentially, from what everything looks like. But yeah, no, we do have a bit of support here from the ECENS ensembles here, in which, you know, we're going to look into here. We're going to keep an eye out there for this for the next little bit. Now, hopping on over here to the GEFS, which is another model here. You can actually see that we do have this model as well, suggesting that, you know, there is some potential in development here as we do work our way gradually west. I feel like the ECENS was a little bit more aggressive. I mean, it's not even really aggressive, but it feels like there's a lot more model or members supporting development here, as opposed to kind of what the GEFS ensembles here kind of have to show. So that is that. So that's just something that I really wanted to kind of bring up with you guys here overall. So, all right, so let's hop on over here to the main models. We're going to take a look at the GFS here out in the tropics. We're going to look and see if we have anything going on here the next couple of days. So we work our way down in time. Now we have this low here that is positioned over the eastern Gulf. This is going to be that system that we're going to be watching here, in which, you know, as we work our way down in time, you can see that we could have a little bit of organization occurring as it works its way into the Gulf here. But, you know, GFS, as you can kind of see, doesn't really have have a whole lot of anything really kicking up with the storm here before it making its way over here towards the western side of the Gulf, right around the 25th and 26th here. Now, GFS, with the latest run that we do have, I obviously don't want to go too far down in time. It doesn't really show much of anything really crazy happening. Although I will tell you, we should probably keep our eye on the Eastern Pacific. The models have actually been kind of kicking up here, and saying that there could be a little bit of activity here for some of those regions in the Eastern Pacific here. So, we'll have to look out for those areas of water here for potential development. But, a lot of the Atlantic here, we look pretty good. Like I said, it's just the Gulf that we do need to look out for. So we'll just pay attention, and we'll watch those regions here over the next couple of days. Once again, this is a pretty low-end probability here right now at a 10-10 chance. Throughout the next 7 days, we have a 10% chance of development here, and throughout the next 48 hours as well, we also do have ourselves a 10% chance here as well. Now, hopping over here to the Euro, the ECMWF here. Honestly, the system... really doesn't take into, it really doesn't kick off in anything major here, even according to the ECMWF. But you can see all those, widespread thunderstorms and stuff going on here. It could get together a little bit of a weak low before impacting eastern Texas here. But, once again, kind of similar to GFS, there's just not a whole lot of development that really does occur here with this. Now, looking over here at the moisture levels, that does not really seem to be the issue with this system. You can see that we do have a pretty good amount of moisture here associated with this low that's going to be working its way over here into the Gulf waters. So, moisture doesn't really seem like too much of an issue here with this storm system. Now, taking a look here at wind shear, as you can kind of see, with this system rolling through, we do have a little bit of wind shear on the southeastern side of the storm, a lot of upper level winds here. But, honestly, like I said, we're just going to have to keep on watching it. Obviously, the waters are really, really warm out here. We're talking 30 degrees Celsius waters, 31 even in some spots, and even locally higher. We are talking some very, very hot waters out here, which, that's not the limiting factor at all. And once again, we have plenty of enough amount of moisture. It could have a little bit of trouble with that wind shear, but it seems like here, if we zoom in over here to the low, you can kind of see that I think a lot of that wind shear is going to be on the eastern side of the storm here. Kind of on the southeastern and eastern side of the storm, as the main low would be somewhere right in here, just south of Louisiana here, for right around the 24th for the morning, the early morning of the 24th here. So, like I said, we're going to have to watch it. We're going to have to see what it does. Now, hopping back over to the GFS real quickly to kind of share some notes and kind of compare here. Once again, moisture does not seem to be an issue. We do have plenty amounts of, humidity, which is, water vapor, all across the atmosphere here. We are relatively saturated from ground to upper level. So, that does not really seem to be much of an issue with this storm system. What's up, Cheryl? Welcome. So, yeah, moisture is not the lacking part. Same thing with the, the waters. The waters are warm enough. The moisture, there's enough moisture there. If we take a look at that wind shear, you can see that we do have a pretty strong jet of wind shear. Once again, kind of on the eastern and southeastern side here of the system overall. So, that is kind of what's probably going to limit this storm system here overall. It's just, wind shear. It's really between the three main, the three main things is, once again, wind shear, the temperatures, the sea surface temperatures of the water, and of course we do have that moisture content. And once again, we have the moisture content, we have those warm waters, we have a little bit of wind shear that we're kind of dealing with here with this system, so that'll probably stunt some of its development here overall. So, anyway, so that's that. That's the GFS. We looked at the Euro, CMC here. Really not a lot of anything different with the CMC. You can see we do have, this low that continues westerly. over the next couple of days here. But, little to no development here according to the CMC. So probability seems pretty low as of now, and I'm sure that's exactly why the Hurricane Center put the 10% that we have, is because, probability doesn't seem very high because of, the models not really showing this thing developing too much anything. So I wouldn't worry about the system. It's probably taking the headlines, which, how news agencies are. I just want to tell you this is not a storm right now to worry about, okay? But it is something I wanted to talk about. That way I could address it properly to you guys and let you all know what's going on. What's up, Calvin? Saying evening, Andrew. What's up, my friend? What's up, Renita? Saying hi, Andrew. Hope you're doing good, guys. Good to have you out here. So, once again, looking at the main models, CMC, GFS, ECMWF, none of them really have this thing developing into a full-blown tropical storm or hurricane, which is good. Like we looked at a minute ago, we do have a little bit of ensemble support from the ECENS and the GEFS models. We do have a little bit of model support of maybe some slow development here, possibly into a short-lived depression, which as of now seems unlikely, but it is possible, and that's why the Hurricane Center did put that area here just to look out there for. Okay? So, what I want to do now is I want to hop you guys over here back to this site over here. Now, we do have another system. This is actually in the Eastern Pacific. Out there, kind of more towards the East Central Pacific here, just southeast of Hawaii. We do have another tropical disturbance here. Probability of formation in the next 48 hours. We're not expecting it, 0% chance probability. And of course, we do have ourselves the days, 1 through 7. Just the next 7 days of development here is an overall 20% chance. So, not really a whole lot of activity, or not a whole lot of likelihood on that system. Now, one thing I do want to look at is back over here at the models. Now, we actually have been seeing a bit more support in possible tropical development out here in the Eastern Pacific. So we're going to watch out for potential development here. Now, the good thing is that the Eastern Pacific usually remains not as impactful as the Atlantic could be, because essentially everything's moving pretty much from from east to west here overall, which is kind of pulling away from most areas of land. But, GFS, obviously don't want to go too far down in time. Does show a couple of waves in which, could gain some traction here with some new models and stuff. But, once again, don't want to go too far here. But, nothing really big and major or anything organized really is ongoing as of now. So that's certainly good news. Calvin says, is it the same tropical disturbance that we used to have in Invest 93L? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It kind of did a loop-de-loop here, which is kind of funny. Here, let's go ahead and hop back over here. So, for the people who are wondering, this storm system has already been over here. So, basically, this was the same system that we tracked, 93L at the time, did work its way over here, pretty close to the panhandle of Florida, and then, of course, made its way towards Louisiana. Then it kind of backtracked, and now it's coming back in for round 2. And it looks like the models kind of want this thing to possibly make quote-unquote landfall across, either the northern coast of Texas or the central southwestern coast of Louisiana. Obviously, we don't know that quite yet, exactly where the center of this system is going to end up. But even, like I said, it doesn't seem like it's going to be anything really impactful, or super impactful anyways, other than bringing some heavy thunderstorm activity more than likely to a lot of these coastal regions here over the next couple of days. So that we're going to need to look into. I mean, these areas have been getting a lot of rainfall, and we're just going to be adding more to it. So, that's something we're going to need to look into. What's up, JH7? Welcome. But anyway, so yeah, that's that. Once again, that's just a little bit of an update here on the tropical disturbance. Now, I want to take a moment to hop over here to today's severe weather event here, or really tomorrow's. We do have ourselves a pretty big risk here tomorrow. It is a level 2 slight risk, but we do have a pretty decent 5% risk here for tornadoes up in northern Wisconsin tomorrow. We are going to be likely doing some coverage on this here with you guys in order to, make sure you guys are staying up to date and, obviously being weather aware. But yeah, we do have a chance for a couple of tornadoes here tomorrow. Also across the green here, that 2% risk here, extending into the upper part of Michigan here, the upper state of Michigan. So we do have that potential, and even a little bit of east central Minnesota here, barely Minneapolis kind of reaching its way into that 2% risk here for an isolated tornado or two. But yeah, tornado coverage will likely be needed here for tomorrow. Now we do have ourselves a pretty big wind risk here. The yellow indicating a 15% chance probability of damaging wind gusts up to 60 miles an hour within those storms, and of course we do have the brown indicating a 5% chance here as well. That does stretch all the way from pretty much the upper state of Michigan through portions of Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, a little bit of South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, and we do have another little 5% risk out here for portions like northeastern Colorado, eastern Wyoming, far western Nebraska, and far southwestern South Dakota, in which we do have another area out there. And then, of course, lastly, we do have ourselves a hail threat here. The main area, the main risk area here, we really don't have much of a hail concern. However, we do have ourselves a little hail risk out here with this other risk area that we do have up in northeastern Colorado, out kind of near the Denver area. As well as eastern Wyoming, western Nebraska, southwestern South Dakota here overall. And that's kind of where we do kind of remain with our severe weather threat. So, once again, we're going to definitely be live for that tornado threat tomorrow, as we do have ourselves a decent risk out there for tornadic activity. So then we work our way into day 3. There is no breakdown for day 3. We do have a little bit more severe weather towards the upper Midwest, out there towards the Ohio Valley. And once again, kind of a similar threat here to tomorrow. Same thing here for Thursday as well overall. What's up, Tang? Hope you're doing good. Saying, how does southeast Michigan look? So, Michigan, we do have a risk for severe weather here. Tomorrow, we're looking pretty good. However, Thursday, you can see that the main part of Michigan here is under the level 1 severe weather threat. So, there is no breakdown for day 3 risk or later. So we really can't tell you the exact probability for each, tornado, wind, or hail threat. But there is a risk for severe storms here on Thursday that you should look out for. What's up, Scott? Hope you're doing good. Silent wants me to look at the zip code. Alrighty, I'll pull that up real quickly for you. All right, so you are in Louisiana. So we don't really have anything severe going on here. We have a little bit of thunderstorm activity here for Thursday, possibly, but really not a whole lot of anything, in that standard going. However, we do have a heat advisory in effect here. We are talking a lot of heat, a lot of hot conditions out there. Heat index values up to 110 expected. So just make sure that you are staying cool because, yeah, it's definitely very warm out there, as it is for a lot of the country here in the South and the Midwest and, upper Midwest here. We have a lot of really, really hot conditions going on out here. You can see all of those heat advisories here kind of in this brownish color here. So definitely, very hot. And we even do have a lot of extreme heat warnings out here as well. In kind of this purplish maroon color, I guess. Yeah, kind of a purple color. I'm not the best with colors, but, yeah, there you go, purple. All right, Mark, I got you, my friend. Let's see what we got going on for you. Let's see what we're dealing with here. You are in Missouri. All right, so you got that heat advisory as well. This expires in 2 days. Heat index value is up to 108. Definitely a little toasty out there. Severe weather-wise, nothing going on here today. Tomorrow, we're looking pretty good. We do have a potential for a couple booms of thunder here as we work our way into Thursday, but nothing severe. Your main thing's just that heat. Just make sure you're staying cool. Tang, it's a little early to tell right now. What's up, Robbie? Saying, hey, Andrew, good to see you, my friend. You as well. Truly thankful for your weather updates and warnings. Nothing but respect for you, bro. Thank you, dude. I appreciate that, Robbie. It's really sweet of you, man. What's up, Josh? Is saying, is there any severe weather on Thursday for Pennsylvania? So Thursday would be on day 3, in which we do not have any risk for severe weather here. From the Storm Prediction Center. So we do actually have a little thunderstorm risk here, though, for north central Pennsylvania, northwestern Pennsylvania here, just shy of Pittsburgh. This is a general thunderstorm risk, which just says, hey, we could see a couple booms of thunder, but nothing severe. is expected. So nothing severe, but a few booms of thunder is possible. Alrighty. Silent says, let's see, do we have to watch the area in the Gulf? So like we mentioned a minute ago when we talked about it, we do have a 10% chance of development on it. Models, they have, there's some models that hint maybe maybe a little bit of development, maybe at most a tropical depression. But yeah, main models don't really show much of this really doing anything. The main problem with this system is probably going to be more of a flooding concern, as it's going to be bringing some heavier rainfall to portions out there by like Texas, possibly Louisiana. It just depends on where the thing makes landfall, quote unquote. But full-blown tropical storm, full-blown hurricane seems kind of unlikely as of right now. So that's good. That's definitely good. But, like I mentioned, the waters are definitely warm enough for it. We do have a lot of, moisture with this system. It's just kind of a wind shear issue with the storm system here, kind of really prevented it from kicking up here. Mark says it's been really humid here. Yeah, it's been here as well, my friend. Could I look up Aurora, Colorado, please? Absolutely. I could do that for you. Let's go bring it up here. So, okay, so this is out there by, like, Denver area. Okay, so you can see them on the map right here. So, here for tomorrow, we do have a level 1 severe weather threat here. No tornadoes, a little bit of gusty winds possible, maybe a little bit of small hail in the region. But, it's a marginal. It's probably going to be fairly isolated. In terms of Thursday, same thing, maybe a little threat for some severe weather. So between Wednesday and Thursday, keep it out there for a few strong to severe storms will be possible here. As of now, as of right now, we have no warnings from the Weather Service here, or no watches advisories really going on out there. All that heat is mostly east of you. So, just look out Wednesday, Thursday. A little bit of storm activity will be quite possible. All right, Tang, I got you. Let's see what we got going on out here for you. So you're up here in Michigan. Okay, so yeah, southeastern Michigan. Yeah, so as we mentioned for this region, it's really only Thursday that we got to look out there, as we do have a level 1 severe weather threat. So, we'll definitely keep an eye out there for that. Let's see. Are we gonna hurricane in Abilene? What is that? Abilene, Texas? No, the system's not going to be a hurricane, by the way. Abilene is very far inland as well, so that's good. But no, there's no hurricane threat for you. Let's see here. Ponderosa says, I like the glasses and shirt. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. But anyways, so no, you're good. Don't worry about no tropical activity. The only thing that would be a concern would be, the rainfall kind of working its way in here. So if we take a look here at the excessive rainfall risk here, we work our way over into day 4, then to day 5. You can see there's really nothing for day 5 here. One thing I will actually go ahead and show you, though, is actually the excessive, the multi-day precipitation forecast here, which throughout the next 1 to 5 days, you can see a lot of precipitation works its way over here into the Gulf here. The next 1 to 7 days, which that loads, you can see some of that precipitation kind of getting closer out there by, Texas, maybe out there by like Louisiana and whatnot. So, once again, it just depends on where the system ends up and everything. But I think the main problem out of this storm system isn't going to be winds or anything like that. I think it's mainly going to be rain, because like I mentioned, a lot of these places have been getting absolutely hit by tons and tons of rain. So this is just going to be, some more rain for you guys, essentially. Let's see here. What's up, Beth? Hope you're doing good. Saying hello, Andrew. What's up? Is it going to rain today? Unlikely to get anything crazy in Abilene here. We do have a thunderstorm threat, so, an isolated severe storm, non-severe. An isolated storm or two possible. Non-severe, though. Just given the general thunderstorm risk here. That applies for both Wednesday and Thursday. Calvin says it does need to be a tropical storm to do flooding damage. Absolutely, yeah. I mean, even tropical depressions and, I mean, shoot, just disorganized lows can bring flooding concerns. You know, especially to places that's already seen a lot of flooding previously, you know, such as Texas, Louisiana. You know, we've had quite a bit of rainfall for these regions here. So, you know, we start adding more to it. It's just kind of a little bit more of a concern. So, you know, that's that. There's really no derecho activity going on, Tang. Yeah, there's really none of that going on in the southeast here. You know, the southeast, severe weather-wise, is pretty clear. You know, except they actually removed it. There was a marginal risk here tonight for, you know, an isolated severe storm or two. But, yeah, no derecho concerns or anything like that, or Dorito concerns for the southeast. But watch, Texas will probably have severe thunderstorm warning. It depends, you know, on the conditions and whatnot. I mean, as of right now, you know, we currently do not have any risk for severe weather. Now, it doesn't mean that there can't be absolutely 0% chance of severe weather, or it doesn't mean that there is a 0% chance. It just means it's very low and below the threshold. You know, I have seen, you know, in multiple occasions, severe thunderstorm warnings in the non-risk area. So it's just the risk areas where we're expecting, you know, that activity here. How does the excessive heavy rain look? So hopping over to that here, the excessive rainfall for day 1. So this is tonight. Actually, we'll go into tomorrow's here. So actually tomorrow we do have a pretty decent threat for flooding up here across portions of like northeastern Nebraska, like eastern South Dakota, central southern Minnesota, central upper Wisconsin, and upper state Michigan here with that level 2 flooding threat here, which is at least a 15% chance probability of flooding here. So yeah, no, tomorrow we do have a bit of a concern out there for flooding. Now the Storm Prediction Center, or the WPC, they have already put out some flood watches here in effect here, or the Weather Service did, in which, you know, these are already in effect here, and these do expire here tomorrow after a lot of that rainfall does work through. But you can see these flood watches here that's in effect for, you know, out there by Grand Rapids, Minnesota. You know, this is for the northeastern side of the state here. And like I mentioned, we also do have a little bit, or a few counties up here in northwestern Wisconsin as well. So, you know, we are talking a little bit of flooding potential out here. Now, looking at the amount of rainfall, if we take a look here at the precipitation forecast here for tomorrow from the WPC, you can see that, you know, we could pick up an inch or so, maybe locally higher in some spots here overall. You know, and I believe some of these areas have already seen quite a bit of rainfall, so this is just kind of adding on to it. You know, of course, day 3 here as well. You can see there's really not a lot of anything going on out there. So, you know, between what's fallen today and what will fall tomorrow, that's why there's a flooding threat, because of all this rain that's rolling through. So, that's that. What's up, Frankie? Hope you're doing good. Hope you are doing well. Tank says, I mean, derecho threat for southeast Michigan. Oh, well, yeah, not really anything crazy going on there, derecho-wise. Now, like I mentioned, we do have that little threat for, you know, an isolated severe storm or two on Thursday, but, you know, that'll probably just be relatively isolated storms here. Let's see here. Storm Teller says, what is Glen Flora, Wisconsin, looking like for tonight and tomorrow? Gotcha. Okay, so we actually do have, so you're up here, Glen Flora. So you're actually just outside of that. Look at that. You're kind of sandwiched in between heat advisory and a flood watch here. You're really sandwiched right between those two areas. But what I will tell you, though, is that you are under the risk for severe weather tomorrow. We do have a level 2 slight risk in effect out there. So, you know, make sure you're watching the weather. We do have a little bit of severe weather potential. Now, tornado-wise, we do actually have a 5% chance for tornadoes. We're actually going to cover this here tomorrow. We're going to make sure that we're giving you guys updates on this. But, yeah, we do have a 5% chance for tornadoes, so keep an eye out there for that. An isolated tornado or two cannot be ruled out. And in terms of damaging winds here, we do have ourselves also a 15% risk out there for gusty winds, you know, potential for some gusts within those storms getting upwards of 60 miles an hour. And then lastly, there really is no hail threat for you. So it's mostly just a, you know, damaging wind concern and, you know, an isolated tornado concern. Now, the good news is that, I was actually looking at the models earlier, which we'll do now real quickly. But, looking at the models earlier on the last live stream that we were doing, while there is a decent lower level jet here, right around 30 knots or so, I don't think it'll lead to really anything significant tornado wise. I think it'll be more of like a brief, but multiple tornado potential type of event. Multiple tornadoes possible, but relatively weak, relatively brief. That's kind of what I'm believing tomorrow is going to ultimately end up to be. But, I mean, we do have a pretty good amount of instability, you can see, as we approach our way into the afternoon, evening here tomorrow. I mean, shoot, we're talking well over 3,000 joules per kilogram here from the WRAP model. HRRR here kind of suggesting that as well, over 3,000. I mean, shoot, maybe even a little bit higher than that. I mean, instability is certainly not an issue. Let's grab a little sounding up here for central Wisconsin. And kind of see what the atmosphere could look like. But yeah, like I mentioned, I don't think it's going to really be anything, super duper significant. I mean, we do have decent kinematics here. I mean, we're mostly 25, 30 knots throughout the entire atmosphere here. We have great moisture. I mean, upper 70 dew points is very high, very, very high. Considering our dew point depression is fairly low, basically just the gap between your temperature and dew point isn't super far off, indicating high humidity, tons of water vapor, moisture present essentially. Really good amount of instability here too, indicated here between your parcel path and your temperature line. Pretty steep lapse rates, 7.3 degrees Celsius per kilometer. We do have a little bit of veering winds. You can see the lower level winds here towards ground level are going to the north-northeast. And as we go up in altitude, the wind direction kind of changes more to the east-northeast. So that change in wind direction can allow for some spin-ups to occur. We have a little bit of curvature on our photographs here. And looking at the effective inflow layer relative helicity, I mean, we're right around 165, which is kind of on the lower scale, in which, this, relatively speaking, would be likely lower end tornadic activity. The violent stuff is really once you see like 300, 400 plus, and we're seeing only about 160 something. So we're likely going to be in the low range of, tornadic strength, essentially. If we did get tornadoes, they would likely be relatively weak, and I don't think they'd really be anything super crazy. Now, with that being said, I mean, other parameters like the decape, downwards, convective available, I can't even English, convective available potential energy here, we're right around 950 joules, which is decent, given our lower level winds as well. There certainly could be some damaging wind gusts, in which actually that's the main threat, remember, which we do have ourselves a, that 15% risk that we talked about. Non-significant as of now, so, we're probably going to see some gusts maybe upwards of 60 miles an hour or so at most, so, not really any, full-blown 70, 80 mile an hour winds shouldn't be really anything we'll see, but we'll probably see more, 60 mile an hour wind gusts, at worst case scenario, probably upwards of 70, but unlikely. Let's see here. What's up, Rose? Hope you're doing good. Red Rose, is that how you say your name? Sorry, I'm not good with names, but I think that's your name. Cass says, so glad you're going to cover the bad weather in Wisconsin tomorrow. Yeah, we're definitely going to be live for that with that 5% risk that we do have out there. Absolutely. What's up, SPC? Welcome. So let's take a look at the HRRR here. I want to hop over here to the 0 UTC run, which we're on. Let's take a look at the simulated reflectivity. All right, so you can kind of see it's almost a big line. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Yeah, so basically, it looks like we could have a little bit of morning convection here. You can see this is fairly early. We have a little bit of storm activity rolling through Wisconsin, but it's not until, kind of the afternoon, evening, which you can kind of see almost a Boeing segment here from the HRRR, which could actually pack some pretty decent winds. So, probably within the range of 60, maybe 70 miles an hour here. It does seem to thin up a little bit as we work way early into Thursday morning. But yeah, I mean, shoot, even another little, almost MCS forming up here by Iowa, fairly early, near midnight Eastern. So, Anyways, Ponderosa says, how many monitors do I have? I can see. So that computer behind me is my Mesonet station. That's for my weather station I have. That's 2 monitors. And the one I'm streaming on has 4. So I have a total of 6 monitors in this room. But yeah, no, that station's for my weather, or that's my weather station computer. And this is my streaming computer. See, Amber works. I will try to remember that. I'll try to remember that. I'm not good with names. I have a hard time remembering. So if I say it, I forget. Correct me, okay? But anyways, but yeah, no. With these storms, like I mentioned, I mean, our dew points are high, and you guys are gonna really notice something. I mean, storms or not, how muggy it is going to be. I mean, this is typical Florida activity. I mean, right now you can see above me, above my cursor, that TD, that is the temperature dew point here, 75 degree Fahrenheit dew points right here in Central Florida right now. Temperature is 78, leading to a high relative humidity of 92%. You know, actually very similar conditions, and it's going to be very, very muggy, very, very muggy. You know, whenever you have dew points in the 70s and shoot even upwards in the 80s, it is miserable. You know, I know a lot of people like to go off of mugginess with humidity, but you really can't do that, you know, because you have temperature. You know, you could have a low temperature, you know, and a relatively similar dew point, high humidity, and you really wouldn't notice the mugginess or the humidity factor. But if you have, like, high dew points in the 70s and 80s and temperatures in the 80s or whatnot, then you really start to notice the mugginess. It's the scale which you need to go off of is dew point, not humidity, which a lot of people have mistaken that. Or a lot of people think it's humidity, which, yeah, it is, but dew point is the better scale to go off of for the feel mugginess. Let's see here. Michigan, Wisconsin, Illinois, we're having Florida dew points. Yeah, pretty much. You can actually see, yeah, HRRR does have those mid-70 dews working their way throughout, you know, the Midwest, upper Midwest here. Kind of looks like a little bit of a frontal system rolling through here. It's not going to make it much better. We're going from the 70s into the upper 62 points, so not a lot of big changes here. But, hey, you know what, though? I mean, at least looking on the temperature side of things, I mean, look at that sharp cold front here. You know, you see that? The temperature goes ahead of the cold front in the warm sector, right around mid-80s, you know, maybe even upper 80s in some spots. Behind it, we're in the lower 70s. You see that drop-off there? So that tells me this is a frontal boundary here. This is a cold front here. Sheesh. Yeah, that warm sector is going to get pretty warm, too. That's why we have a lot of those heat you know, a lot of those heat advisories and, you know, excessive heat warnings and stuff for a lot of these areas here. It's just miserable, dude. Miserable. And, you know, unfortunately, it doesn't really look like anything's really going to be, you know, getting better anytime soon, unfortunately. You know, these still last a couple of days. I mean, but yeah, these temps are just terrible. The HRRR here, you can see those temps. I mean, we're soaring up nearly 100 degrees out here by, like, Arkansas, and, I mean, shoot, even likely into 100 degrees in some spots here, even out there by, like, Missouri and whatnot. So, anyways, weather on the go, dude. What's up, man? Say good evening. Hope all is well, my friend. You too, dude. It's been a while. Hopefully you're doing good, man. It's good to see you. Thanks for dropping by. I appreciate you, dude. Big shout out to my bud, Weather on the Go. He's also a weather content creator. Big shout out to him, man. Let's see here. You're not used to it. Oh, yeah. I'm not even used to it. Now, Florida's been miserable lately where I'm at here. Central Florida, it's just been dew points. Nearly 80 degrees, which is just, it's terrible. It's terrible. I hate it. It can go away. But yeah, no, we do have a lot of really hot conditions out here. Let's go ahead and hop our way back over here so I can show you guys everything going on here on the main map here. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of the convective outlook here. So once again, you can see we do have a lot of heat advisories. You can see across a lot of the Midwest here, upper Midwest. You know, a lot of those expire tomorrow, but we do have a couple that do last a little bit longer, especially down there by like Missouri, Arkansas regions here. And of course, we do have this this extreme heat warning here that really extends all the way down from eastern Louisiana through a lot of Mississippi, Arkansas, western Tennessee, western Kentucky, southern Illinois, and a little bit of eastern, southeastern Missouri. You can almost say it's Missouri. Haha, that's a bad joke. Anyways. But yeah, no, we do have that heat warning there. Excessive heat warning. So yeah, those heat index values are getting up to 111. Ugh. Yeah, no thanks. No thank you. But like I mentioned, we do got some new development here in the Gulf. Like I said, this is unlikely to do anything major. You know, it's probably not even going to be a depression at this rate, but there is a few models that do suggest maybe some slow development here. It's only a 10% chance from the Hurricane Center. ECENS ensembles have increased in member count, essentially for the system doing something, but this thing's unlikely to be a tropical storm or a hurricane or anything like that. So don't worry about all that. If any big changes happens, we'll let you know. But this system really doesn't appear to be anything super crazy. What's up, Chris? Saying, hey man, we finally got relief. Not only storm, but humidity as well. I had an oh no moment when meteorologists said both temperature and humidity will go back up again. Oh no. Well, enjoy your break in the humidity and stuff. It sucks. Let's see. Another round of storm chances for me on Sunday. Gotcha. Tank says Florida's throwing dew points in the upper Midwest. Well, I mean, not Florida itself. That's it's not entirely Florida's fault. I mean, come on, man. No, but we do have a lot of high and dew points working away pretty deep in the country here. Here, let's look at that real quickly. A lot of that's coming up from the Gulf and stuff. You can see a lot of that. Ugh. Yeah, all that purple on the screen here. That's the 70s. The bluish color. This is the 60 range. The green is the 50s range. And then you got the Rockies out here that has like dew points still in like the 20s and stuff. They actually have a little bit of a concern by themselves though. They actually removed the the red flag warnings there. We did have some red flag warnings for like Wyoming, but they removed those. We still do have a bit of fire weather potential for northern did I really just call California, Colorado? Northern California, and a little bit of southern Oregon here. A couple of counties here. We do have a fire weather watch here, which fire, is a big factor, or the main. All right, let me restart that sentence. That made no sense. Let me restart that sentence. So, fire weather is really dependent on low relative humidities as well as strong winds, in which the conditions out here could get to that point where we do have some gusty winds and low relative humidities. The low humidity kind of dries out everything, and then the winds help spread those fires and stuff. So, but anyways, we do have a fire weather watch though for, like I said, Northern California, a little bit of Southern Oregon here. So we're going to have to look into that. You can see, lighting dry fields resulting in potential numerous fire. So please avoid lighting any fires. That is for sure. Ooh, wow, look at that. Off-flow winds here, 40 to 60 miles an hour possible with thunderstorms that develop. That is true. Yeah, especially some of those gust fronts that those storms can develop here. Absolutely. They don't really mention anything about the humidity factor. Possible upgrade this watch to a red flag warning. Okay, so they did mention that. Huh. Anyways, but yeah, just keep it out there for that region there for, for some fire weather. But to be honest, the West is pretty quiet otherwise. We have a little bit of flooding potential up here by New Mexico. We got a little bit of flood watches in effect here. Actually, if we look at the radar now, we do have a bit of precipitation rolling through. Not anything crazy. We do have some flash flood warnings for some areas. In which, like I said, we do have the flood watch in effect there. So, a little bit of flooding up by New Mexico, so heads up there for you folks. And yeah, once again, we also do have some more flood watches up here by northeastern Minnesota, northwestern Wisconsin here as well, which, these expire tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, we've already seen a little bit of precipitation out here. You can still see we do have some storms going on up here for the extreme northeastern side of Minnesota, in which we're looking at that. But, honestly, most of that, some of it's already fallen, of course, and we're gonna get some more of that tomorrow. But so like I said, if you're out here in these regions here, just make sure that you are, watching that, especially if you're in an area that is prone to flooding. And of course, if you're traveling and you spot a flooded roadway, turn around, don't drown. They always say, you don't want to chance it. I mean, even a little amount of water can easily, push a vehicle. You'd be surprised at the strength of water. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. So don't chance it. Don't chance it. You got to turn around if you see flooding, in which that is a real possibility out here. Absolutely. But other than that, honestly, that's about all that's going on across the country. The heat, got some flooding, a little bit of fire weather potential. Tropics. Got a little disturbance out here. Nothing big. And, of course, we do have ourselves the other one that's still out here, that 20%, which is also likely not going to do. Even if it did develop into something, it's far away from areas of land, so looking pretty good. Ooh, we got a severe thunderstorm warning. Hold on a minute. By Amarillo. That radar site's actually getting hit, looks like. Here, let's play that in motion here. Yeah, it looks like a little bit of an outflow boundary is being produced here from that. It's that cold air smacking the ground. What's that warned for? Ooh, 70. Wow. Let's see, was that a Mesonet or something? Automated weather equipment. Wow, okay, so some type of weather station. I don't know if it was like a cheap little Amazon handheld anemometer that somebody's exaggerating it is, or or if it's like a full-blown airport Mesonet or something. It doesn't say. But 70-mile-an-hour wind observed. Hey, you know what? Still need to take it for what it is. So, yeah, Amarillo folks, y'all should remain away from windows. Stay indoors. Yeah, that's a pretty big warning too. That thing's not that small. I think that's the only warning we got. Yeah, we only have the one warning out there. There's literally the only one is that one severe thunderstorm warning out here. And like I mentioned, it just goes for a good example that, even the areas that's not in the risk area can sometimes still see severe thunderstorms, So, but like I mentioned, the risk areas is where the Storm Prediction Center thinks the majority of severe thunderstorms will be. It does not ensure that every single severe storm will be within that risk area. As we can see this for an obvious example, this is in the thunderstorm risk area here, but it's not in the level 1 even. It's not even in the severe thunderstorm risk area. So, anyways, folks, well, if y'all have any final questions, feel free to let me know. It's getting a little late here. I'm going to go ahead and head to bed here. But if you guys have any final questions or any zip codes you want me to look at, that way I can help you guys out, feel free to throw it down in the chat. I'll be more than happy to help you guys here overall. But I just want to say thank you, everybody, for joining us. And if you're new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button. And I'm not going to hold you to it, but it'd be greatly appreciated. And if you guys could leave a like as well, that would be also greatly appreciated. But yeah, like I said, tomorrow we're probably going to do a little bit of coverage here on the tornado threat that we do have. We do have that 5% up here in Wisconsin. Up north here, that 5% tornado risk, and the 2% extends up here into the upper state of Michigan. A little bit of an avocado risk here for tomorrow, and even a little bit of that 2% risk here, up here across portions of Minnesota. Is there any snow cover left in the mountains? I do not think so. No. It's a little bit too warm for all that madness. I'll double check though, but I don't think so. I mean, even in those upper levels, it's you know. Let's see. Observe snowfall. Yeah, there's no new snowfall. Let's see here. Oh, you know what? Here, let's hop you guys over here real quickly. Pivotal Weather still has last year's total snowfall. A little bit of a flashback. Actually, I think it was 6 months ago yesterday we had that storm that rolled down into Florida and the Gulf Coast here. This actually brought some areas up to 12 inches of snow. Pretty crazy. And then you got those upper levels that are breaking the scale. Literally breaking the scale. Let's see here. Do I think frequent lightning is most concern in the storms? Which one? The one for... Ooh, this is new, I think. Here, let's bring you guys over here. That severe thunderstorm? That one's... The main concern for that one's gusty winds up to 70. I don't think this was here before, but we now have heat advisories for central southwestern Ohio. Heat index up to 102. K-Jack says, hi, Andrew and everybody. Hope everyone is doing well. You too, K-Jack. Thanks for joining. Tomorrow. Okay. Well, tomorrow's main concern is damaging winds, actually, following the tornado threat. We do have a little bit of a hail threat for the Rockies, or out by the Rockies. Of course, there is actually a lot of instability here. Let me show you all real quickly. There's a lot of fuel in the atmosphere that could easily contribute to a lot of lightning activity. Absolutely. Here, let's bring you guys over here. High amounts of instability could absolutely increase the lightning count. Here's the HRRR. Yeah, I mean, tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, you can see some pockets could exceed, 3, maybe upwards of most 4,000 joules per kilogram. It's a lot of fuel. I don't know, Tang. Cheryl says I can't keep my eyes open. Hopefully I'll feel better tomorrow. Yep, feel better. What's up, Court? Welcome. That's my girl right there. But yeah, I mean, like I said, there is definitely quite a bit of instability, though. Kinematics, once again, I mean, we do have that 5% tornado risk here. Lower level jet here for tomorrow, kind of afternoonish evening. Our lower level jet's about 25 knots or so. Mid-level flow is about 35 knots to the east here overall. Overshoot coming in with that $2, my friend. Thank you. Greatly appreciated. Wants me to take a look at the zip code. I got you, my friend. Thank you for the 2. That's really sweet of you. That is greatly appreciated. Here, let's hop you over here back to this region here. Once again, thank you for the 2. That was greatly appreciated. Alrighty, my friend. So you are up here in Iowa. You do have a heat advisory in effect here. This is for heat index values up to 105. Very nasty conditions out here. Now we do have ourselves a let's see here. We do have I'm gonna actually I'm gonna bring up the area again here because I kind of lost it here. There we go. Okay, so we do have a level 1 threat for severe weather here tomorrow. Tornado probability, we are out of it, which is good. We do have ourselves a little 5% chance overall here for gusty winds, upwards of 60 miles an hour within the storms. No hail threat, so you're looking pretty good with that. So a little bit of gusty winds within some potential severe storms in the area. It's something we need to look out for tomorrow. Of course, the heat is going to be another thing here. Actually, here for Thursday as well, we do actually have a level 1 severe weather threat. So, we'll look out there for not only tomorrow being Wednesday, or I guess now being Wednesday. So Wednesday, Thursday, a little bit of storms could be quite possible here. Flooding risk, regarding things here tomorrow doesn't seem to be very high. However, I will say here for Thursday, there's a little bit of a flooding risk. So if you are in let me try to English here. If you're in a flood-prone area, be sure to prepare for that. Let's see here. But hopefully that helps. And Overshoot, if you have any more questions, let me know, okay? Have any states set the record for higher CAPE levels, like 7,000? I've seen them higher than that before. Yeah. I mean, there's been occasions where it's been well over 7,000 joules, which is a lot of instability. I can only imagine some of those vertical velocities. You know, when you have instability that much, there's so much buoyancy. There's a lot more dense. Let's see here. Yep, no problem, Kath. How's the flooding look for southeastern Michigan? So tomorrow we don't got anything. Thursday we have a level 1 flooding threat, which is a marginal, at least 5% risk out there, which does cover the entire state of Michigan, both the upper state and the main state itself. So, let's see here. But yeah, once again, Overshoot, thank you for the 2. I appreciate it, my friend. And once again, if you have any more questions, feel free to let me know. See here. All right, good night, Brad. Thanks for joining. Yeah, we're probably going to roll off here too. Like I said, if y'all have any final questions, feel free to let us know. You know, if y'all want me to take a look at the zip code, if y'all want me to look at any weather or have any questions for me, just throw it down in the chat, and I will be more than happy to answer it for you guys. But if not, we're probably going to roll off here. It's getting a little late. I need to get to bed soon. So, anyways. But I just want to say thank you all for joining. I appreciate it. And once again, if you're new to the channel, consider hitting that subscribe button. Greatly appreciated. And if you guys haven't already, consider leaving a like as well. It'd be much appreciated. Who knows? Maybe even consider sharing it, you know, to help spread the word out there. Let's see here. Looks like a bird flying. What? For the severe weather risk? I'm so confused. This looks like a sloth. Look at that, man. You got that. Oh, hold up. Hold up. Y'all gotta see this. So you got your eye right here, right? Little sloth. And you got the front foot. You got the rear foot. Jeez, dude. Let's see here. What time is the severe weather starting? Sometime in the evening, and from what the main part of it looks like. Here, let's hop back to HRRR real quickly. So the 0 UTC run has the main part of it really kind of kicking off here. I mean, we could have some storms early morning, some severe weather. But the main kicker is probably going to be sometime in, you know, early afternoon, working its way over here into the evening. Yeah, HRRR kind of wants a big MCS here, as you can kind of see. Maybe even a couple. You know, you can see one actually up here for early Thursday. You know, that Boeing segment up here in Iowa. Anyways. All right, everybody. Last call for questions. If y'all have any, feel free to throw them down. You think morning convection might affect severe weather in the afternoon? It's possible. Yeah. I mean, we do have a bit of morning convection, a bunch of multicellular thunderstorm activity, but yeah, that could. I mean, it's pretty spread out. We'll see. We'll see what happens, you know. Once again, you also got to remember models are not perfect. They are far from it. See, your daily says number 55. I'm assuming that's like number 55. Thank you. I appreciate it, my friend. Let's see, Cheryl says, I'm off to bed. Good night. All right, good night, Cheryl. Thanks for joining. Yeah, I'm probably going to do the same here, y'all. Tang says it's because the morning convective storms will use up all the CAPE. Not necessarily. It's more, in fact, of it could create some some warm layers in the atmosphere, some capping inversions, essentially. Not really much of using up all the cape, because, I mean, even for afternoon, evening convection, there is plenty enough cape. So, it's more of a cap concern. You know, because they kind of create cooler pools of air on the surface, in which the temperature would actually increase with altitude if you're in that cool pool, which would stun any new convection. Yeah. Let's see. Anyways, Sonia says, thank you, Andrew. You are very, very welcome. Very welcome. Alrighty, everybody. Well, that's going to wrap it up for tonight. Thank you all for joining. Once again, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, leave a like, and if you guys could, help share the channel as well to your friends and family. Post on your Twitter, Facebook, whatever, just to help spread the awareness. That way we can help keep you guys safe and weather aware. Like I said, tomorrow we're going to cover that 5% tornado risk here sometime in the evening, afternoon. So expect us to be live for that, which we will be. But I just want to say thank you, everybody, for joining. Once again, I appreciate it. What time am I going live? I am not too sure what time. It'll be sometime in the early afternoon or evening. That's when I'll go live. So I will be there then. No, I'm not gonna like completely rely on a certain time right now, because, anyways. But all right, everybody. What's up, Andy? I'm going to bed. What's up, Overbuilt? Oh my gosh, I need to go to bed. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining. I appreciate it. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your night. Enjoy the sloth risk here in court. No, it's not a turtle. You're a turtle. All right, everybody. Stream is going to roll off here in approximately 1 minute. So go ahead and say goodbye to your friends, your family, anybody you're hanging out with in the chat. Hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your night. And all right, everybody. Catch you all here in the next one. Peace out, my friend. See ya later on.